I got a Muslim woman pregnant. Then I learned the shocking truth. The scent of chlorine still clung to my skin from the gym when I met Sarah for dinner. It was Tuesday, our usual date night, and she was already at our table, a candle flickering between us. She looked good, really good, in that understated way she always did. Her blonde hair was pulled back, highlighting her cheekbones, and she wore a simple blue dress that I knew she'd had for years. "Hey," I said, leaning in to kiss her. "Sorry, I'm late. Johnson wanted to go over the blueprints again." "No worries," she said, her smile a little tight. "I just ordered us some wine. Figured we could celebrate." "Celebrate what?" I racked my brain. "Anniversary. No, that was months away. Promotion, not likely in this economy." "Celebrate what?" I asked, playing along. She took a sip of wine, her eyes sparkling. "Just celebrate us." 5 years, Daniel, that's something. That word hung in the air, heavy and loaded. We were comfortable, Sarah and I. We had a routine, a shared history, but something was missing. I felt it, and I suspected she did too. Then I met Aisha. It was at a construction management conference in Chicago. I was presenting on a new sustainable building material, droning on about carbon footprints and life cycle costs when I saw her. She was in the third row, hijab framing her face, her dark eyes focused intently on me. There was something about her that cut through the boredom, a spark of intelligence and quiet intensity that I couldn't ignore. After my presentation, she approached me. "Mr. Williams," she said, her voice soft but confident. "Your presentation was very insightful. I'm Aisha Khan, a pharmacist, but I'm also involved in designing a new community health center, and I'm very interested in your work on sustainable building." We talked for what felt like minutes, but was probably closer to an hour. She asked sharp questions, challenging my assumptions, and making me think about my work in a way I hadn't before. I learned that she was deeply involved in her local Muslim community, volunteering at the mosque and helping her family. She was different, so incredibly different from Sarah. Over the next few days, we found excuses to talk. Coffee during breaks, lunch in the hotel restaurant, even a late-night drink in the bar. I knew it was wrong, that I was crossing a line, but I couldn't stop myself. There was an undeniable pull between us, a forbidden energy that was intoxicating. The affair started a week later. A text message thinking about that conversation we had in Chicago. Maybe we could continue it sometime. Then, a coffee date, a nervous touch of hands, and finally, a kiss in the rain outside my apartment building. It was exhilarating and terrifying. Aisha was unlike anyone I had ever known. She was intelligent, passionate, and fiercely independent, yet deeply rooted in her faith and family. Our differences were what drew me to her, but they also created a chasm between us. I felt guilty constantly. Every time I looked at Sarah, I felt a pang of remorse. She deserved better, but I couldn't bring myself to end it. I was addicted to the thrill of the affair, the feeling of being alive and desired. Aisha was struggling too. She was torn between her feelings for me and her obligations to her family. She started withdrawing from her community, avoiding family gatherings, and making excuses to her mother. I knew it was only a matter of time before someone found out. Then the bomb dropped. Aisha called me, her voice trembling. "Daniel," she said, I'm pregnant." The world tilted on its axis. "A baby? Our baby? How could this have happened? We had been careful, or so I thought. What are we going to do?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. "I don't know," she said, her voice breaking. "My family, they'll kill me." I knew she wasn't being literal, but the sentiment was clear. Aisha's family was deeply religious and traditional. They expected her to marry within her faith, to uphold the values of their community. A pregnancy out of wedlock with a non-Muslim man was a catastrophe. The guilt intensified. I was destroying Sarah's life, Aisha's life, and now, the life of an innocent child. I had to do something, I told Sarah. It was the hardest conversation of my life. She listened in stunned silence as I confessed everything. The affair, the pregnancy, the lies. When I finished, she didn't scream or yell. She just looked at me, her eyes filled with a deep, profound sadness. "How could you?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. "How could you do this to me?" I had no answer. I just sat there, a broken man, watching as the woman I had loved for 5 years walked out of my life. The fallout was immediate and brutal. Sarah moved out. My friends were divided, some siding with Sarah, others offering awkward condolences. My parents were disappointed, ashamed. Aisha's family was even worse. Her brother Omar confronted me at my office, his eyes blazing with anger. "Stay away from my sister," he hissed, his voice low and menacing. "You have brought shame on our family. If you ever come near her again, you will regret it." I tried to explain, to apologize, but he wouldn't listen. He saw me as a threat, a destroyer of their traditions. Aisha was ostracized. Her mother refused to speak to her. Her friends whispered behind her back. She was alone, pregnant, and terrified. I tried to be there for her, but it was difficult. Omar was always watching, and I feared for Aisha's safety. I started researching Islam, trying to understand her culture and her family's beliefs. I even tried to talk to her mother, Fatima, but she slammed the door in my face. Aisha was considering an abortion. The pressure from her family was immense, and she didn't see any other way out, but she was conflicted. Her faith forbade it, but she didn't know if she could face the shame and the ostracism of bringing a child into the world under these circumstances. I couldn't let her do it. I knew it was her decision, but I couldn't stand by and watch her destroy herself. I told her I would support her no matter what. I would leave my job, move to another city, and raise the child with her. She looked at me, her eyes filled with tears. "You don't understand, Daniel," she said. "It's not that simple. My family, they will never accept you. And even if they did, I don't know if I could ever be happy living a life that is so different from what I always imagined." One day, Aisha asked me to drive her to the grocery store. I parked in the fire lane while she ran inside. "A quick trip for some dates," she said. I waited in the car, fidgeting with the radio when I saw her through the glass. She was arguing with a woman I'd never seen before, voices rising, faces flushed. Aisha looked desperate, pleading. The other woman pointed a finger in her face, said something harsh, then turned and walked away. Aisha stood there for a moment, shoulders slumped before finally coming back to the car, her eyes red-rimmed. "What was that about?" I asked, concern etching my face. She avoided my gaze, placing the bag of dates on the floor. "Nothing," she mumbled. "Just someone I know." I didn't believe her, but I didn't press it. There were too many unspoken things between us already. Then came the night when Aisha's secret past surfaced. We were arguing again. About the future, about her family, about the impossible situation we were in. "I just don't know what to do," she cried, her voice raw with exhaustion. "I feel like I'm trapped." "Then leave," I said, my voice rising. "Leave them all, come away with me. We can start over." She laughed, a bitter, humorless sound. "You don't understand. I can't just leave. I have obligations, responsibilities." "What responsibilities?" I demanded. "You're not a prisoner, Aisha. You can make your own choices." She stopped pacing and stared at me, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and defiance. "You want to know what responsibilities I have?" she said, her voice trembling. "I was married before, Daniel, a long time ago when I was barely 17. The words hit me like a physical blow. Married? She had never mentioned it. "What?" I stammered. "You were married." She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "It was an arranged marriage. My parents thought it was the best thing for me. He was from back home, a distant cousin. I barely knew him, but why didn't you tell me?" "Because I was ashamed," she sobbed. "It was a mistake. It only lasted a few months. He was not a good man. I left him. It was a scandal. My family wanted to keep it a secret." "So you're divorced?" She shook her head. "No, he divorced me. In our culture, it's very easy for a man to divorce his wife. He just has to say the words 3 times. Talak, 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 and that's it. I was nothing to him. Disposable." The revelation hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. This changed everything. It explained so much: Aisha's reluctance to defy her family, her fear of scandal, her deep-seated insecurities. "But does this change things with your religion?" I asked, desperately trying to grasp the implications. "It does," she said, wiping her eyes. "It makes everything so much harder. There are rules, restrictions, things I need to consider. Our child." I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the conversation in my head. Aisha's secret had added another layer of complexity to an already impossible situation. The next few weeks were a blur of legal consultations, therapy sessions, and tense conversations with Aisha. We were both exhausted, emotionally and physically drained. The weight of our choices was crushing us. Aisha eventually sought guidance from Imam Hassan, the respected leader of the local mosque. He listened patiently to her story, offering words of comfort and wisdom. He advised her to reconcile with her family, to seek their forgiveness, and to find a path forward that honored both her faith and her personal desires. I tried to build a relationship with Aisha's family, hoping to gain their acceptance and support. I attended Friday prayers at the mosque, awkwardly trying to follow along with the rituals. I brought Fatima flowers and offered to help her with household chores. But my efforts were met with suspicion and hostility. They saw me as an outsider, an interloper, a threat to their way of life. Sarah started seeing someone else. I saw her at a coffee shop, laughing with a man I didn't recognize. She looked happy, genuinely happy, and I felt a pang of regret. I had thrown away something precious, something irreplaceable. Aisha gave birth to a baby girl. We named her Nadia. The birth was a moment of both joy and profound sadness. Holding my daughter in my arms, I felt a surge of love and protectiveness. But I also knew that our future was uncertain. that we faced a long and difficult road ahead. Aisha decided to stay within her community, to raise Nadia within the Muslim faith. She reconciled with her mother, who, despite her initial anger, couldn't resist the pull of her grandchild. Omar remained wary of me, but he agreed to tolerate my presence in Nadia's life. I moved into a small apartment nearby, determined to be a part of Nadia's life, even if I couldn't be with Aisha. I saw Nadia every day, taking her to the park, reading her stories, and teaching her about the world. Aisha and I developed a fragile co-parenting relationship. We were not lovers, but we were united by our love for Nadia. We navigated the cultural differences and the religious complexities as best we could, always putting Nadia's needs first. One evening, as I was leaving Aisha's house after putting Nadia to bed, Omar stopped me in the driveway. "Thank you," he said, his voice low and surprisingly sincere. "For what?" I asked, surprised. "For being there for Nadia," he said. "She needs you." I nodded, unsure of what to say. But he continued, his eyes hardening. "Don't think this changes anything. You are still not one of us. And if you ever hurt my sister or my niece again, you will pay the price." I swallowed hard. "I understand," I said. I got into my car and drove away, feeling a mix of relief and unease. I had gained a grudging acceptance from Aisha's family, but I knew that my past would always haunt me. As I turned the corner, I saw Omar watching me from the window. His face was impassive, unreadable. I couldn't shake the feeling that he was still plotting something, that he hadn't forgiven me for what I had done. And as I drove into the night, I wondered if I would ever truly be free of the consequences of my choices. The weight of it all settled heavy in the pit of my stomach, a reminder that some mistakes can never be fully erased.